Okay, so watch my last video. I talk about some alien shit. I think the New World Order is some alien shit. I think after World War II, I don't know exactly what happened, but something happened with the banking system and the Nazis and the American government. Deals were struck or some shit. And right now, the world is ran by a mix of like weird old Nazi banker money, Americans because we had all the fucking nukes, and Russians because they, you know, had most of Europe and then also rapidly had nukes and missiles. They cut Putin out of the money. What do I mean by that? They cut them out of the international banking system. That is the New World Order. So Putin, I think, was put in place by them. And I think they did not fully understand the animal that they were dealing with when they put him into power. I've said this before. He is KGB and he's a warrior. Putin thinks like me to some extent. Not exactly. There's for sure differences. But the thing you need to understand is that Putin is friends with Steven Seagal, and Steven Seagal thinks some crazy Buddhist shit like I do. And I really think that Putin and everyone involved there is doing what they're doing just to oppose this shit, to oppose this control. Like, there's probably more to it than that. He wants to be an evil dictator and whatever, too. I'm sure. I'm sure that's part of it. But at the same time, you need to realize that the only thing that fully explains what's going on, in my opinion, in the Ukraine is, let's start at the beginning. I guess in the beginning would be the Cold War. I think the Cold War was a fiction to get both populations to agree to this arms race. And I think the point of the Cold War was to try to build up defenses against these extraterrestrials that we couldn't even fucking stop from coming in and fucking with us. I think in 1947 we shot something down at Roswell, probably a German aircraft of some sort. And I think we captured some sort of extraterrestrial life form of some sort at some point too. I really think that the Nazis were being helped by a race of space aliens. This has been hinted at in many things. And my thing is now, if the Nazis were being helped by those space aliens, are they now helping the US government? Or are we fighting them? Or what's going on? And we don't know any of this. All we know is that we're cutting Putin out of all future money and technology from this UFO shit. And that he says he's fighting World War III against Nazis. And if the US government and the World Bank and shit like that are talking to the same fucking aliens that the Nazis were talking to, like, is Putin wrong? I know, like, this is some crazy shit. I'll admit this. This all sounds fucking insane. Well, we live in an insane world. I think a lot of the craziness of the last few years has been real world events are getting harder to like explain via the bullshit, because the real world, you went askew from what we were being told in 1947, probably 1945, maybe even. And I think I'm not the only one who's getting tired of this. I think there's a considerable part of the world that's getting tired of this. And like, I don't know. There's definitely something to all of this. This nugget of shit here, this is the stuff they don't want you talking about. And the other thing that comes in with this stuff is that these things have been here a long time. All that ancient alien shit, it's real too. They've been here that long. Again, this is mostly my opinion, but this is I have seen shit that makes me believe this to the point that I'm telling you it as fact. I don't know where these things come from. I don't know why exactly, but like they seem to not want to destroy us. And it seems like, if anything, my guess is that they come here for stuff. Like, look at we what we know that they do is cattle mutilations. I think that's some sort of weird, like, we're hungry and we're weirdos because we're super technologically advanced and we only like X, Y, and Z from this species on this planet. And we come here and we take exactly what we want and we do this all the time because we can. And like, maybe there's not very many of them that do this, but there's a few of them that do this. And like, I think there's a bunch of more shit like this. Like, the universe is far more complex and strange than you could imagine. I think there's about 30 different species of aliens that probably come to this planet, if I had to guess. Like, it's a high number like that. And like, I think if you dive into the weeds of the alien shit, I think amongst the bullshit there is truth. I think some of the stuff that you can like be assured of is that there is some sort of race of these things that looks like us. And I think all of the racist bullshit of the Nazis comes from the fact that one of these races is white and blonde and blue eyed. Like, that, not like us exactly, but like they are a race of primate like beings that have white skin and blonde hair and big blue eyes or something like that. And like, they're a little weird looking, but like this, I think this is the species that was probably talking to Hitler and his boys, or they were finding evidence of. And maybe these are the Atlanteans. And like, maybe all that shit's fucking true, Like, there's a lot of stuff that the Nazis believed that you're just not even allowed to even explore anymore. You might start looking at that shit. I think a lot of what the Nazis believed might essentially be true. Not about the racist shit or whatever, but about like their occult beliefs, their beliefs in what they were doing, like, and everything. Like, dive deep, deep into the dark SS shit. You'll start finding shit about them opening doorways. And I don't know. It makes you ponder, doesn't it? I think it's very possible that, like, look at Germany 1945 versus Germany 1900. And look at America 1945 versus America 1900. Like, there was technological advancement in America, but it makes sense to some degree. And like, from 1900 to 1945, we went from, you know, starting to fool around with engines and bicycles and shit and cars to, look at the Jeep. It's not that crazy of a vehicle, really. Like, what was the craziest thing we had, really? You know, the first computers the size of houses. But like, look at the German shit though. Like, not only were they playing around with jet engines and rockets and shit like that, but in addition to that, like, there is this tech that they are not talking about that greatly influenced world events in 1947 at least, and probably 1945 to 1965, if I had to guess. There was a everyone thinks World War II ended in 1945. I I don't think so. I think World War II went on for a long goddamn time. I think a lot of weird shit that happened is covering up things. So like Operation Fishbowl and Starfish Prime and shit like that, uh, where we're detonating nukes in the atmosphere. Were we really doing that? Or were we blowing up some sort of fucking Nazi spaceship? Who knows? And when it comes to other shit like this, like, why were we in Vietnam? Some things make more sense than others, but the spread of communism, quote unquote, if I'm correct, the Soviets, they weren't really trying to spread communism. I think they were using Soviet agents to start shit in places where the agency really wanted to go, basically. It's like the CIA and NSA definitely control a lot of the strings on whatever this is. And I think all of our foreign adventures since World War II, except maybe Korea, we talk about Korea, but Korea, I think, may have legitimately been, you know, communist versus, you know, us. I think that may have been in and around the chain of events that led to Soviet American cooperation and a space race and all sorts of other shit. So in Vietnam, you go in and start fucking around with the politics of that place, right? Give us more of an excuse to go in there. It was already kind of fucked up anyway, and like Ho Chi Minh had been doing shit there since World War II. He was an OSS operative. Most people don't know that. And like this is the thing is, I think a lot of this stuff that we've done is going down and hunting down shit that we've made that's bad. Like Ho Chi Minh was an OSS agent we trained to fight the Japanese. The Taliban and Osama bin Laden, same thing, but CIA to fight the Russians. And I think a lot of these foreign wars are to cover up that shit on one hand, but on the other hand, I think Afghanistan and Iraq had shit that we wanted, and I don't mean oil. I think we went digging there. I think the entire fucking wars in the Middle East, no one's gonna ever fucking talk about this, but this was, the fifth crusade or whatever, the newest crusade. And its goal was to capture things of religious significance and spirit them away. And as soon as you know we were done there, what took over? ISIS. What was ISIS? Well, they were Islamic fundamentalists that wanted to destroy all evidence of everything non-Muslim. And this fits uniquely into their little New World Order thing because they don't want anyone else knowing about this shit. They went into Iraq and Afghanistan and pulled ancient knowledge out of shit and then had it destroyed. Why? I think a lot of this is they don't ever plan on the entire world having access to this kind of shit. And like by the entire world, I mean us. I think we're looking at a like breakaway group of people. Like Alex Jones talks about a breakaway civilization. I don't think he's entirely wrong. I think that they've already built spaceships and space stations and shit, and they already have ongoing missions and shit to colonize and whatever. And we are the dregs of humanity that they are going to leave here to die. Either that, or honestly, I think they're the Nazis. If I had to guess, I think they really won World War II. And not in like the traditional sense, but in that their ideas infected generations of children. And like what we have now is a Nazi dream world, really, where the transgender people, castrate themselves, and uh, the gays, all spread a fucking disease amongst themselves and die. And, you know, religion is dying a slow death to science. And the science is a religion that they control the lie of. This is, in short, like some of the stuff that I believe now. I know, like, some of this is crazy, but like, we live in crazy times. And I assure you, I have not said anything in this that is not true, basically. Some of this is like stuff that, like, there's no way to know for sure which way it is. Like the Roswell thing. Were they aliens or Nazis from Argentina? There's no way to know that. But what I heard was that they were Nazis from Argentina, and that makes sense to me. I think if you just look at some of the evidence that I've put forward over the last couple of years, if you've been listening to me for a long time, the Nazis had mercury driven craft of some sort, or fucking maybe even Element 115, whatever Bob Lazar shit. I don't know about that. I think it's for sure that uh, there's some sort of ship based on whatever the Foo Fighters were that the US government has right now. For whatever reason, we war amongst ourselves. I wonder why. I wonder what they're really doing and planning. Like I think COVID was a nudge by these people to cause our society to like straighten up, basically. I If I were them, I would be like, well, we've created this paradise, uh, and no one can even fucking fight anymore. We're headed into possible wars with aliens and shit. And we have generations of people that are incapable. That's what a lot of this is, I think. I think we're building up to a war with aliens, if I had to guess. A lot of the religious shit all talks about the gods will return. A lot of weird shit's been happening in the last little bit. I think the gods are returning. Now, what that means exactly, I don't know. That could mean, hey, there's a ship that shows up and people come out, or it could just mean that governments start doing crazy ass shit now because a fucking spaceship landed on the back lawn of the White House and told Joe Biden that, you know, uh, Molech needs blood. There's a lot of dark shit going on. I hope you guys are open to, crazy shit and open to ideas. I think a lot of the world is waking up to what I'm talking about in this video more and more every day. I think we live in an awakening world. I heard someone call it the Great Awakening. And maybe I'll do a video on that next. Thanks for watching.